The visit of Tinubu to Paris in France, that's the Paris Finance Pact, the so-called claim by Dele Alake that foreign direct investment are flowing into Nigeria, and the statement accredited to Bill Gates that Japa syndrome is good for Nigeria. All these are bad signs, bad omen. Bad omen because of one reason. So long as nobody is talking about activating Ajaokuta Steel, Alaja Steel, to kickstart Nigeria's journey to aggressive industrialization, we are going nowhere. So long as Ajaokuta Steel and Alaja Steel, our steel sector, is not active, any so-called foreign direct investment, any so-called government investment into any sector whatsoever will just be contributing to creating jobs in the Western countries or the powerful countries and creating unemployment in Nigeria. Already, Tinubu has served Nigeria up on a platter of gold to the West by doing three things: devaluation of the Naira, increase in pump price of fuel, and privatization, starting with the electricity bill. Now, what does this mean for the average Nigerian? What it means is simple. Because we are not a production economy, because we are a predominantly consumption economy, what happens anytime there is a foreign direct investment is that they tell us they are giving us loan, $20 billion, for instance, to invest in our electricity sector, for instance. That $20 billion actually is not coming to Nigeria. That $20 billion is going to the manufacturers of the electricity infrastructure in the US or in Europe or in UK or in China. That's where that $20 billion is going. The only thing they are doing is they will manufacture those equipment in their country, create the jobs in their country, now import those infrastructure into Nigeria. So the only thing they are doing by this so-called foreign direct investment is rent seeking, tax collection, collection of levies. That's all. The monies that are in circulation in Nigeria is what they are mopping up. It is a classical example of what Jesus Christ said in the Bible, that to those that have, more will be given, but to those that have not, shall be taken away from them, even the little that they have. Every time you hear of foreign direct investment, this is what they are working on behind the scene. Think about it. Say they want to invest in transportation. Government wants to invest in transportation. So government goes and takes a loan of 10 billion US dollars from China or from the EU or from the World Bank or from IMF or from the United States through the Bretton Woods institutions. Now, let's assume that that loan is approved by the creditors, IMF, World Bank, China, EU, and co. Does that 10 billion naira come to Nigeria? Will it come? The answer is no. The truth is that $10 billion loan that they say they are giving to Nigeria to invest in transportation, that $10 billion will go into the acquisition, the purchase of transport vehicles, buses. And who are the manufacturers of those buses? Companies in EU, companies in UK, companies in America, companies in Japan, companies in China. So invariably, when government says they are taking loan of $10 billion to invest in infrastructure, what they are actually doing is they are taking a loan from whatever foreign country through their multinational corporations. That loan never gets to Nigeria. Instead, that loan goes to paying the multinational corporations in those countries, and those multinational corporations will export their infrastructure into Nigeria and they will install that infrastructure. Then what now happens is you and I, the ordinary Nigerians, are the ones that will now bear the brunt. How? This is how we bear the brunt. Because they said they have collected that loan, Nigeria is now owing, is indebted, right? And they have installed the infrastructure. They will collect transport fare from us. They will collect taxes from us. Meanwhile, no new jobs are created. They will create some few jobs in the name of the people who will work as conductors in the transport company. But those ones will just help them to collect the transport fare, which they will now repatriate to pay back those loans. And of course, the ones that we get missing, will get missing. So anytime you hear that there's foreign direct investors are coming, picture it this way. Your slave masters are coming. The only way for us to get out of this unemployment and poverty that Nigeria is in is for Nigeria to activate our industrialization process. And it can only happen if we activate Ajaokuta Steel and activate Alaja Steel. That's the only starting point for an active steel sector. Don't let anybody deceive you that people are going to come in now and invest. They will set up factories. It is a lie. When they come in to set up factories, the equipment they will use to set up those factories, they are coming from where? They're coming from outside. We're not sustainable. Don't let anybody tell you, like the IMF and the World Bank can say now, they are giving $20 million loan. Or is it $20 billion loan for food sustainability or food support? Every investment that is made into food goes into buying or importing rice or buying other food items. Those monies go back to the countries from whence they came. It is a lie. So that is why the trip that Tinubu made to Paris, France, that trip is bad omen, because it will surely build on the three things that he has already given to the Westerners and the Easterners, the powerful country, which only means one thing for Nigerians: slavery, modern day slavery. These companies will come in the name of foreign direct investment. And what happens? The prices of everything will go up. And there's nothing we can do about it because we do not manufacture any of the infrastructure. That's what it means. Meanwhile, the wages of people will still be below par. Nigerians, the ball is in our court. There's only one way out of this. Before I go to that one way, let me talk about the statement that is credited to Bill Gates when he said that the Japa syndrome is good for Nigeria. That, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years, those Nigerians that traveled out to go and get an education outside or to go and work outside, they will gather experience and gather money and repatriate back. That is a lie. That is a statement that is coming from your taskmaster in the making, if he is not already. How is that? Let me ask you. They say that diaspora remittances are $25 billion, less than $30 billion every year. When those dollars come into Nigeria, diaspora remittances now, what do Nigerians spend those dollars on? That's what will give you an idea of why the Western countries, the Chinese, why they allow the repatriation of those dollars in the first place. When the $25 billion for diaspora remittances come into Nigeria, what do Nigerians spend the money on? They spend the money to build house. Majority of the items you need to build house are roofing sheet, iron, and corrugated steel sheets and all that. All of those things are imported. So part of the diaspora remittances go back to the countries from whence those steel materials come. Part of the diaspora remittances are spent on buying cars. Who are the companies that manufacture these cars? So the money goes back to the countries that manufacture the cars. A lot of the money, diaspora remittances, they spend it on buying phones. Who are the countries that manufacture phones? So the money goes back to them. South Korea, China, UK, US. So diaspora remittances is actually a system that ultimately benefits the countries from whence the remittances come in the first place. Because Nigeria is a consumption economy. We don't produce anything. And these Bretton Woods institutions, the IMF, the World Bank, the Chinese, they know this. And they are capitalizing on it by deceiving us with loans that never get to Nigeria. They know that the only way to help Nigeria will be to activate Ajaokuta Steel, will be to rapidly industrialize Nigeria. They know that. But no, they will not do it. Because if Nigeria is industrialized, Nigeria will become self-sufficient. It means that we will no longer need to import the steel that we import from outside. Even if we do, it will be on a balance of trade basis. We export steel, we import steel. There will be true competition. And when there is true competition, the prices will come down. They don't want that. They don't. So all this talk about the Japa syndrome, oh, after 20 years, they will come back. How many of our engineers that Japa in the past 20 years have come back? They gave the example of India. India had to do a strategic knowledge transfer scheme. Strategic. Oh, we need engineers. So they sent people to the Western countries to learn engineering. And after learning engineering, they came back. That was it. That was how India did it. Not relying on the people that have jackpot from India. Not really. It was a strategic thing they did. The same thing China did to Japan. The same thing Indonesia did to get out of the chokehold of the British. And the same thing we must do, unless it is a strategic arrangement to send students to go and learn engineering that will help our industrialization. After they finish, they come back. Unless it is that, any other jackpot is bad for Nigeria. So Bill Gates is speaking to what will benefit him, not what will benefit Nigeria. Yes, Peter Obi has come out to support Bill Gates, but then Peter Obi wants to take Nigeria out of consumption to production. Remember, I told you that the only way Japa syndrome becomes good for us is if we get out of consumption to production. So unless we have somebody like Peter Obi that is in charge of affairs and Nigeria has been moved from consumption to production, forget it. Japa is bad for us. And so long as we are a consumption economy, currency devaluation is sealing our fate of slavery. Privatization is sealing our fate of slavery. So-called foreign direct investment is sealing our fate of slavery. That's all they are doing. So if Tinubu wants to do the right thing, let him tell those Bretton Woods institutions, let him tell the people in the Paris Finance Pact that what Nigeria needs is rapid, aggressive industrialization. And that starts with Ajaokuta Steel. Now, all of this is speaking to the niceness of Tinubu or speaking to whether or not Tinubu will listen. The solution we need is this. At the root of Nigeria's problem is conflict of interest. So long as the leadership of Nigeria have options, have alternatives, they will not do well for Nigeria. So long as Tinubu can fly out to UK, to France, to go and get medical treatment, our health sector will not work. So long as people like Festus Keyamo can buy house in London and have foreign accounts where they have millions of dollars stashed, they cannot do well for Nigeria. So long as any government worker can send their children to go and school abroad, there is no way our educational system will work. They can't do well for Nigeria. It's conflict of interest. So the starting point for our solution is we must as a people, not relying on the National Assembly now, we must as a people come up with an education tourism prohibition law, medical tourism prohibition law, a social welfare and food stamp law, a prohibition of foreign account and foreign properties law, and then also the creation of a business hub and business indoctrination law. Those are the 5 laws that will save Nigeria. Until we have these 5 laws, nothing will work in Nigeria. So I am calling on you. We need to start this ourselves. Let us draft these bills. Join the League of Patriots. Let's create these bills and move into the National Assembly to actually push these bills through. Until we have this, we cannot have development in Nigeria.